Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. In this case, welcome back to the webinar series. My name is Danielle Lord. I'm the founder and principal of Archetype Learning Solutions. And on this channel, or for these webinars, our whole purpose is to talk about employee engagement. For those who may be new to this topic of employee engagement and seeking new solutions, new alternatives, our strategy is simple. It's about equality daily interaction through the capacity of our leadership attributes of engaging everyone every day. For the webinar series, I focus on the 12 strategies that I share in my book, Engaging Your Employees. And also are the foundation of my blueprint, which is the tools in a much more robust format, if you will. So it provides a lot of the documents, a lot of tools that I have built and produced over time. That includes things like assessments, scripts that you can use and hopefully make your own to be in your own voice, and all kinds of different things and resources that come with employing or executing on the 12 strategies that we talk about. So the book and the toolkit are the blueprint, kind of renaming it. So catch me if I call it the toolkit, it's the blueprint. But those are both available through my website, which will be included in a link below. So this is October, so time for a new webinar series. And in this case, we're going to talk about strategy number one, which is creating a community of practice. So just for refresh, let's talk a little bit about what employee engagement is. And if this is the first time that you're viewing the channel or just getting familiarized with some of the strategies or the things that we talk about, this will be just a good refresher for you. Hopefully it's a good refresher anyway. So if you already know what employee engagement is, you can listen in or skip past this part. All right, so employee engagement, oops, I already covered that. Really the whole purpose of these sessions is to recognize that you are trying to create a culture of commitment within your organization, because ultimately that's what engagement is about. It's not satisfaction. It's not about just showing up to work and doing the bare minimum, although that's what some people need and what some people do. But it really is about getting folks excited about your mission, knowing, understanding what that mission is, how to employ it, how to interact with customers and clients in a way that ultimately is helping you as the business owner meet your strategic goals. And then to be able to utilize the tools and the things, the parts of the strategies that are the practical application piece of the strategy. In this case, for community of practice, it's going to be an assessment that is included in the blueprint kit, should you choose to get that. Now, the blueprint, I would say that the strategies are free because they are. The blueprint in the book, there is obviously a price with those, but once you get the tools, the strategies, the assessments, the things within the 12 strategies are completely free for you to implement. So there's no cost associated with implementing any of these at all. So that's the beauty of employee engagement, is that it comes from the heart and not the checkbook. So, all right, let's kind of just dive into this. Like I said, our strategy is very simple. It's to engage everyone every day, and we do that through quality daily interactions. And so it really is about presence, and one of the strategies is around presence, vulnerability, authenticity, and presence. But that presence comes from taking the time to stop and clear your mind of the busyness and the activity that's going on in your head. I know as a leader, that's tough sometimes. It's so much easier to be head down, focused on what you're thinking, clipping through the halls at a fast pace and letting everybody just walk by you. I've been there myself, even when I was tasked with being the employee engagement manager, having that as one of my major duties as at a director level. And so I've fallen into the same trap. But when you hear and you listen to the stories that people share about when the CEO, as I like to say, the chief engagement officer or their own manager stops to take the time to say hello to them and recognize them, it's so powerful. And it's that simple minor tweak in your schedule, in your paradigm, in your mental model of how you approach employees that makes such a difference. And it just takes a little bit of heart to do that. Practical, simple, free. I've talked about that. And then what's next is follow up and follow through. In the book, I utilize the after action approach. It's also included in the blueprint. The after action approach, it's a different and unique way of assessing a situation and what happened. So it really takes away any finger pointing, any blame, any person, and says, let's look at the situation of how it unfolded. And it unfolded through a series of actions. Were those the actions we were expecting, or were they different than what we were hoping the outcome might be? And so it gets you into a different mindset of how you want to get to a root cause of a problem and stop pointing fingers at people and look at the situation. And so what that does is then it encourages us to take the next step to follow through, even if we didn't like what the outcome was. Continue with this kind of sense of follow up, follow through, and consistency over time. Big businesses and the military both use after action reviews, so very proven best practice. Okay, so just quickly, employee engagement, it measures the degree of enthusiasm or commitment, involvement, dedication to the organization, to the mission, to the strategic plan. It's really a measure of how employees feel about that organization, about the management, their just overall general sense of how committed are they to the organization. Because if you've got employees that are disengaged, or what we're calling quiet quitting now, and I hate that term, those are folks that are just showing up and collecting a paycheck. Best case scenario. Worst case scenario, they're in a state of active sabotage, and they are doing things out of a sense of self-preservation, if you will. Maybe it's anger, maybe it's hurt, and they're actively doing things to harm your organization. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in another video as to why I say it's sabotage. And we've got to stop thinking about it in terms of quiet quitting, but I won't go into that today. At any rate, you can see from the slides that engaged employees are really giving you much more than just themselves. They're showing up in a way that's helping you meet your goals, your bottom line, et cetera, versus just kind of showing up and sitting there all day, playing solitaire, whatever the case may be. Now, there's lots of other reasons why employees might be playing solitaire. Maybe they have a manager who is not giving them quality work. Again, different conversation, different day. All right. The other thing about having a culture of commitment is that it really begins to permeate your entire organization. So it's not limited to just one or two individuals within a team or within the organization, because that is not doing you any good. And that's actually the foundation of this particular strategy, creating a community of practice through bringing leaders and managers of all sizes, styles, phases of their management career into this idea of walking together in this journey, rather than having it be limited to one or two individuals in the organization. But with that, now you have an entire organization that's buzzing with good, positive, healthy energy, rather than falling into that kind of pit of despair and complacency. I told my husband the other day, complacency is a contagion. You know, just like we can get people excited and happy through the good brain neurochemicals like the daily dose, and we also can create a sense of a larger sense of just kind of despair and apathy. It can become a collective buzz just as much as excitement and happiness, and willing to be present and help one another. All right, so ultimately it's up to all of us. This is not just a manager or a CEO responsibility. I like to say that employee engagement is really an all hands on deck activity. And so it's up to all of us to create the space where employees, all team members feel valued, heard, motivated, and excited to be doing the work. And again, that comes through the creation of all those good, happy brain chemicals. And the best part about this is absolutely free. Most people fall into this trap of, well, I need to have a big party in order to show how much my employees feel appreciated. And The problem with a party is that, yeah, it's nice. It's nice to get a free lunch. It's nice to have this, to see the senior leadership team kind of dressed in aprons and serving employees food. But that feeling of good is going to end as soon as I walk back into a toxic culture of my department, or back into the halls where narcissism and bad behavior is just allowed to continue. So it isn't doing you any good. You're just throwing money away, and you're just feeding people, and they're just saying, yeah, I got one over on them because I went in back through the line 3 times. So we can do better than that. All right. So these are the 12 strategies. And in this particular webinar today, we're talking about establishing a community of practice. So let me unpack this just a tiny bit. So, and how I came to this place of creating a community of practice, which is really that culture of commitment. So I was a political science major back when I was doing my bachelor's degree, political science and history. There's a long story to how I ended up with two majors, but I did. And the first thing you learn in political science when you walk into political science day one is that language is the common bond. And there is no other attribute within community or a culture that is going to create a bond, a cultural bond among people than language. So you can have people separated geographically in a particular area, and it is not religion, it is not skin tone, it is not any other thing that will bond them together than language. And that's because of the common understanding that we have around specific words. So even if I speak the language, another language fluently, I may not necessarily have a sense of what a particular word means. And we can make a claim that everyone has a different value or attribute to a word than others do. There is still a sense of cultural identity around a particular word that we kind of know to be a truism within our particular community. So that's a little bit about language and how important language is. And that's why cultural anthropology also has such an important kind of partnership, if you will, with political science, is because we know that part of politics is all based on this idea of culture and cultural connection. So fast forward all these many years later, doing the work that I've done for my entire career of almost 40 years in this field, and then getting a master's in organizational behavior and a PhD, and the same, and with an emphasis in leadership theory, it became clear to me that organizations are just really a microcosm of a larger community. So we can call it the big C community, meaning your city, state, country that you may live in. The little c community is the organization where we all function for a large portion of our time. And we find the same cultural nuances in organizations, the little c community, that we do within the big C community of city, state, country, whatever the case. And ironically, the field of organizational behavior, which is the business side of organizational or industrial psychology, or what they call IOP, industrial organizational psychology. So for kind of the first understandings of how people function within an organization, we're in the field of psychology. Organizational behavior was adopted and became this basically the same field of study within the business community. So now I lost my train of thought. Whereas I talking about the little c community and the cultural understandings and the fact that organizational behavior is rooted in 5 social sciences, with cultural anthropology and political science being 2 of those 5 social sciences. So the psychology, social psychology, and sociology are the other 3 that round out that 5. So if language and culture are very important in political science, and we use language and cultural for nation building or national erosion, language and cultural commitment can be just as effective within the organization. And so that is why I like to talk about a community of practice. a culture of commitment, and a consistent employee experience. Okay, hope that all made sense. Just a funny story. When I was working on my PhD in the field of organizational behavior, and I wanted to take an IOP, Industrial Organizational Psychology class, to kind of have that cross-reference and see where the similarities and the differences lied. Now, the similarities lied in the fact that we used the exact same textbook, read some different research studies, but they were all very much based in psychology, which a lot of the organizational behavioral studies are. In fact, most of those studies you'll find in the Journal of Industrial Psychology. But there's no understanding of business. So I could present something from a leadership framework, and it was kind of a head scratcher for everyone else in the classroom who came from that psychology side. Okay, so a lot of similarity, a few differences. Okay, so for this webinar, we're going to talk about my strategy number one. I feel this is really foundational to what it is that you need in order to create that culture of commitment through a community of practice. And so it's identifying ways that all of the managers and leaders in the organization are committed to doing the same work. Because like I said earlier, and I say it in the book, employee engagement is an all hands on deck activity. This cannot be in the hands of the CEO. It cannot be left to individual managers to take on this role. And while we can say everybody leads, and any employee, any individual contributor has the capacity to happily charge someone by giving them positive accolades, they ultimately don't have a lot of ability to control the direction of the culture. That's really done through the managers and the folks at the top who are allowing or not allowing certain things to happen that create either a positive or a negative culture. All right, so a community of practice is a group of leaders and employees dedicated to learning and improving together. By sharing experiences, aligning best practices, and supporting one another, we create an environment where consistency isn't accidental, it's intentional and sustained. And we have to do that together. So it's truly foundational to the work of employee engagement, particularly if you want to try and apply the remaining 11 strategies within the blueprint. So why a consistent employee experience matters. If I'm moving to a different unit or a different department, a different division, I should have a same or similar sense of what a cultural expectation is of me once I move into that different unit. So how managers set expectations, how managers engage and interact with team members, how managers and leaders give feedback, for example. I shouldn't go from a manager who's giving me really great feedback, setting clear expectations, having one-to-ones with me, going into a unit or a new team, and then suddenly all those things erode. It's going to be a very labile culture. You're going to have some people that are consistently engaged and some people that are consistently disengaged. And that is not helping the organization because everyone is picking up on that energy. So you're either picking up on the good, positive, happy energy that comes from those neurochemicals, or you're picking up on the complacency, the apathy. Your brain is being flooded with cortisol, and we're having a stress response that's creating a situation where we just don't think very well. So this is why the consistency and the commitment is so important within an organization. And when we don't have that alignment, it creates a lot of confusion. It creates a lot of tension. It creates a lot of opportunity for me to still be angry and disengaged, even though I may be having a good experience. A lot of people talk around the water cooler. And if my friend is not having a good experience, then that bad experience might reflect in my own attributions as well. All right, so that community of practice comes through consistency, trust, and engagement, and it is an ongoing, continuous cycle. Our work of employee engagement, the 12 tools or the 12 strategies in the blueprint, are aligned with our leadership definition, and that our being the archetype learning solutions definition of leadership, which is an influence-based relationship among leaders and followers. Influence is active, reciprocal, and non-coercive. So that means that it's positive influence. It's not influence that's based on charisma or making you feel really, really good about, ooh, I'm so excited to be around this person because they're very charismatic. That actually tends to create a toxic climate because the leadership becomes a cult of personality, if you will. And there's actually evidence to suggest that highly charismatic leaders can cause you to do things that you might not necessarily want to do, but you will do them because that leader has so much charisma and is highly influential. So we want that healthy based influence. It's active. It means that I am there doing the work side by side with you, not doing your work because that's what we call role compression, but doing the work alongside of you. And sometimes that means that as a leader, I put myself into a follower position and I allow you as the subject matter expert to rise to the top while I'm there to support you. It means I'm engaging with you on a daily basis. It means I'm saying hi to you when we pass each other on the hall. I'm not head down, I'm super absorbed in my work. Although that's going to happen sometimes. We are humans, right? It's reciprocal. That's that relationship piece that I talk about a lot of times, moving from the stranger to acquaintance to relationship phase, meaning that we are having really robust, good, healthy conversations and dialogue. It's not me telling you what it is that you're going to be doing. We're going to have the psychological safety that allows us to have some really meaty discussions. And then it's non-coercive. And that means that even if I don't like something that you tell me, I'm not going to have a negative response. I'm not going to create a punitive situation for you or somehow punish you because I didn't like what it is that you heard. And we see this a lot. And I think this is a huge problem of disengagement right now. It's because employees are afraid to give bad news. And in fact, I'll have to do another video on this because there was a great visual that I saw on Pinterest. And I saved it because it so adequately describes what's happening in our organizations right now. I think why people are so disengaged. It's like if you raise your hand and say something that a manager does not want to hear, oftentimes you are labeled as a troublemaker. And that's your whole work as an employee. You're supposed to be bringing these things to attention and saying, hey, wait, this isn't going to work, or this is going to cost us money, or whatever the case is. But so that's the non-coercive part of that is managers have to be able to hear some bad news. Sometimes you might not always like the message that you're getting, but it's not, the focus isn't about you gave me bad news. It's, oh, wow, thank you for bringing a different perspective to me. We need to figure out what's going on and address that. Okay. So back to creating a community of practice. That was our leadership definition unpacked a little bit. So in order to create a community of practice, it really requires that all of the folks in management roles are kind of walking down the same path together. And so we really want to make this a strategy within our organization. When I was with the large healthcare system, we always had a people-centered strategy. So a people-centered strategy in this case might be to say, we're going to commit to creating a community of practice. And I need all of my managers on board with doing these things that are going to help drive a greater sense of engagement. Now, so we have, with that in mind, I'll show you the assessment, a small portion of the assessment here in just a few minutes. But in our blueprint, even in the book, if you just order the book and scan the QR code, you can download the assessment that we have. But the assessment is based on your ability, willingness to engage in the best practices around employee engagement and engaging everyone. So there's 15 actions within the survey. They are each tied to a specific piece of that leadership definition. Again, all based on best practice in the current body of research. Now, the beauty of this is, as humans, we may be better at, we might not, maybe, we are likely to be better at one or two of these things than perhaps all five across the categories of all five of those things. It's just natural. It's based on our temperament, based on our own strengths, our own inherent interests, etc. So by creating a community of practice, now I can identify, understand, and know who within my team of managers does particular areas of this work better than I do. And so we're now creating a whole sense of community. So when I have a specific need around one of these 15 different actions, I might not be good at it, but my manager peer, Jane, might be very good at it. And so I can go to Jane knowing that she's mastered this particular area of engagement, and she can help me strategize on some ways to do that. Or maybe what we can do is just kind of swap out those two particular areas. If I know that Jane is very good about doing a particular engagement activity, maybe I can have her come in and play that role within my team, and maybe there's a different role that I can play within her team. So I hope all that's making sense in terms of creating a community of practice, but it's really about leaning on each other in a much more holistic fashion than just saying, this is all on you, or this is all on the CEO, or this is all on one division. We are now walking down the same path together, and we're leaning on each other in terms of specific areas of expertise. Okay, so again, hopefully all that is making sense. So this is just a quick little snapshot of the survey. It's just a quick 3-point Likert scale, 0, 1, and always. So 0, 1, and 2, rarely, sometimes always. And then we score that across these 5 areas: genuine, interest, no ego, everyday, and flexible. Those are aligned with our definition of leadership that gets us to a high engaged organization. And so again, if maybe doing this every day is tough for me, but I'm very genuine when I do have a good interaction, which maybe is once a week, maybe I can partner with Jane to say, hey, how can you kind of pop into my space and be this presence every day for me, but maybe you need a little bit more genuine authenticity or genuine interactions with your team, and I can come in and help you with that. Or give me some strategies, give me some things that you're doing, Jane, to get you to that point where I can grow in my own area of opportunity so that I can be present enough every day. And that's still a tough one for me. I get very much in my own head, and yeah, forget it. So again, hope this is all making sense, but it's an opportunity for us to be leaning on one another rather than feeling like we have to do it all ourselves. And we can't always do everything well ourselves. And that's something I think that managers have to recognize sometimes is I can't hit 100% on all these competencies. If I do that, I'm not going to be doing any of them very well. So, all right. So key takeaways. Consistency. It's not about the rigid rules. It's about creating a reliable quality experience. And we do that through engaging with our own team to create that sense of, wow, we've got the capacity together. We have a much greater capacity to do this, to create that consistency, that quality experience among our own managers and leaders within the organization. Together, we've got aligned messages, and we have aligned behaviors. And I think that that's really the key point around this is the behaviors. So often scrolling through Pinterest, that's kind of my Saturday morning with coffee thing, scrolling through Pinterest, and I see these posts on Pinterest where they say, great leaders say these things. great leaders don't say things, they behave in ways. As soon as I say something and I don't behave that way, I've immediately ameliorated my capacity to be a great leader, because I've just demonstrated that I don't walk the talk, right? I'm talking and I'm walking, and those are two different things. So aligning messages and behaviors, which is really key here. We're applying consistency or a community of practice among the entire organization. So no matter where I go in the organization, no matter whom I talk with around the water cooler, we're all sharing the same thing, that this is a great place to work. Aren't we glad to be a part of this organization? There is no one who is being sucked down by that sense of apathy or complacency, because everybody is happy to be there and doing their work. And I know that might sound daunting, but it's up to us as managers to really dig in and understand what it is that our employees need. And I'll cover that at another point as well. And it's aligned with a leadership definition. This is my definition. It may not be out there in the ether, but it is based on best known practices within leadership. And I actually used Kuzu's and Posner, the Leadership Challenge. They are very well-known academic researchers. They've been researching leadership for, gosh, probably about as long as I've been in the field, and they have millions of data points to support their work. So it's my definition of leadership is very much aligned with theirs. I tweaked mine a little bit, so I wasn't taking theirs, but it's very much aligned with their definition, along with what I know from the research to be good leadership practices. So, all right, so that is our community of practice. Again, some of these things might feel daunting, they might feel uncomfortable, and you might try it and you might find that, oh, that didn't work really well. I bet if you were to explain your actions and what it is that you're doing with your employees, they would be very appreciative, and they would be more than helpful to give you the grace that you need so that the employees, the individual employees and the collective employees alike, all can have a great experience and be highly engaged. I bet they would give you that grace, because I think people are really, really hungry for this. All right. This is a little bit outdated because I'm not doing the live webinars anymore. I'm moving over to this format so they can be more accessible to folks, as well as a just-in-time practice. But I do have the YouTube channel, and these are on my website. And then, text or call anytime, 253-269-2116. I put my number out there so that folks can get in touch with me and ask me questions, and we can continue this conversation, because it's very, very needed. And I would say I'd probably respond better to a text message than a call, because I might not always have the capacity to answer the phone, but I can always return a text message. You can also email me. My email address is danielle@archetypelearningsolutions.com. I realize that's a little long. Sorry about that. But that is this month's webinar, and this month's strategy, creating a community of practice. Next month, we're talking about re-recruiting, but these videos will be available at any point through the YouTube channel and through my website, so you can come back and access them as a just-in-time portal. All right, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation today. Hopefully all of this made sense. This is probably one of the more challenging of the strategies, but it's really foundational and really key to making sure that you are creating a very consistent employee experience to help enhance engagement overall. Again, if this resonated with you, I hope that you'll like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and please leave a comment or email me, because I would love to keep these conversations going. All right, thank you so much. I'll stop sharing as I sign off and say thank you very much, and hope to see you back soon.